This is the new accessory kit for the OF1010 router. Inside, you will find pretty much everything you need for routering. First up is this track attachment and this little unit right here. And what these two do is they allow you to take these rods right here, slide them into the router, and then tighten them down. Then you can take the guide rail adapter and slide it over the rods that are poking out and tighten those two down. And then you can spin the router around and hook it onto the rail. So your router will travel back and forth in an exact straight line. But with the router set up like this, what you'll notice is that the router tips a little bit because the workpiece is a little bit lower than the top of the track. And that's where this piece comes in handy. So you'll take this piece right here, slide it down into that slot, and then you'll take this threaded knob right here and screw it into that slot. And you can tip the router up so that it's level. You can push that leveler down and then tighten it up. And now you see that the router is level and solid, can travel back and forth, and your bit will be cutting into the workpiece at exactly 90 degrees. And if you come back over to the kit, you'll see this piece right here, which does a couple things. The first thing is when you're using the router with this track adapter. With the larger routers, the track adapters have a micro adjustment built into them right here, whereas this one doesn't. And that's where this one comes in handy. But it's not only for when you're using it just on the track. And where it goes is right down over here. You'll take this screw out right here, and you'll slide this one over the rod until those two holes meet up. Then you'll screw this one back in, and then you'll tighten this one down. And then to adjust the router back or forth, you're gonna loosen off this one right here and this one here at the back. And then I can just twist this dial to move the router back this way. And that way go and find exactly where I want to put my router bit. And then I can tighten this one down and this one down. And that way I'm able to precisely micro adjust exactly where the router is going to be so I cut exactly along my line. And the second thing that this one is for this long one right here. And this is a circle cutting guide. So once again, you can slide this rod through that hole and then into this slot right here and then put this knob back in place. And then this will move back and forth and you've got this little pin right down here. So you would drill a center hole in whatever you were trying to cut a circle in. You would put that down into the center right there. And you can more or less then set the router on your cut line. Then you can lock this one down right here. And once again, using this dial, micro adjust it until your router bit is just on the line. Then you'll lock this one down and then you would hold there and then you can go and cut circles with this little jig here. And then back inside the kit, we've got these two right here, which are two different base plates that can go on the bottom of the router. One is this clear one right here, which has a much smaller hole. And this second one is an extension base that has more room here on the backside. So you'll pop this off right here, then you can screw this one down on, and then you've got more surface on this side to help keep your router level in certain situations. Next up is this set of guide bushings right here. And they come in a whole bunch of different sizes. And what you would do is come onto the top of the router here, take this screw out and this screw out, and you'll remove that piece. And then any one of these guides can fit down in that hole. These two screws would go back in. And then that sits up so that it rides along the edge of your workpiece and the router bit doesn't touch the edge of your workpiece. So the different sizes are for different sizes of router bits. And they also have these holes here in the bottom, which allow the power of the suction from the dust control to pull the sawdust through there and into your dust collector. And then back inside of the kit, you'll find this centering mandrel right here. And this is what you use to make sure that everything's centered. So whether it's for these bearing guides or any other attachment you'll put on the bottom, you'll go and put that inside of your collet and then tighten it down. And then you can come and use that to make sure that whatever you're putting inside here to guide things is exactly centered in reference to your collet. Before we move on to the last two pieces in the kit, I want to show you this spot right over here, which has a whole bunch of holes, which are there so that you can store all your different router bits in here. Hiding right down here in the bottom, underneath where the track adapter went, is this little mini sustainer. And if you pop it open, you'll see inside are the different screws that go to this kit and to the router, because invariably some of these little screws fall down and get lost. And Festool's put a bunch of spares in here for you so you don't lose your mind tearing your shop apart trying to find out where the screw went. And the last two pieces in the kit are this thing right here and this one right here. This blue one right here attaches to the bottom of the router and is a movable edge routing dust shroud. And then that allows you to come put the router up against the edge of a workpiece. And then as you move it close, that dust shroud will turn until it matches the profile of the edge. And then you can plunge down and go cutting with your router. And most of the dust will get trapped in that dust shroud, which will bring it up to this port right here and then out towards your vacuum. And the last piece in the kit is this one right here, which you use with this edge guide, which comes in the kit with the router. And you'll once again grab these rods and put them in these two slots, and then slide the edge guide over the rods, and then you would tighten those ones down. And then if you flip the whole thing upside down, this is a dust shroud right here, and that will come down into these slots right here and slide in and clip into place. And now that's a dust collection system for when the router bit is turning right here. When you're using the edge guide, all the sawdust ends up going into here. And so once again, if you're doing some work up along the edge of a piece of material, the edge guide is what you use to set the distance of your cut from the edge of the workpiece and then allows you to travel back and forth. And then underneath here, all the dust that's being created is going into this dust collection system and then out towards your dust collector.